Just moments ago, everything changed. A live television broadcast suddenly turned into a political bombshell. But shocking revelations leaked in real time, leaving Keir Starmer cornered and exposed. Sources now say his resignation is no longer a question of if, but when. Westminster is frozen, the public is stunned, and the UK is watching a leader fall live on air. What unfolded on television just minutes ago has sent shockwaves through British politics. As the broadcast continued, information began leaking that even seasoned journalists were not prepared for. Documents, messages, and insider confirmations surfaced one after another, painting a devastating picture of internal chaos, hidden decisions, and leadership failures at the very top. By the time the cameras cut away, the damage was already done. According to multiple senior sources, Keir Starmer is now set to resign, following revelations that directly contradict his public statements over recent weeks. These leaks expose serious inconsistencies between what the leadership claimed and what was actually happening behind closed doors. For many watching live, it felt like watching a slow-motion collapse, one that could not be stopped. Inside Westminster, panic spread instantly. MPs were seen leaving chambers. Mid-session, emergency calls were made. Senior figures stopped responding to media questions altogether. The atmosphere turned heavy, tense, and uncertain. One political editor described it as the moment gravity finally caught up. Starmer's position, already weakened by recent resignations and internal revolt, suddenly became untenable. The leaked material reportedly shows that Starmer was warned repeatedly about the unfolding crisis, but chose to delay action. Internal reports flagged serious risks, yet decisions were postponed. Advisors raised alarms that were ignored. When the truth finally reached the public, it did so without warning, without preparation, and without protection. Live television made it impossible to control the narrative. As the revelation spread, reactions inside the Labour Party were swift and brutal. Senior MPs who had remained loyal until now began distancing themselves publicly. Some issued carefully worded statements expressing deep concern. Others went further, calling the situation unsustainable. Behind the scenes, conversations reportedly turned from defence to exit strategy. The most damaging aspect of this leak is not just what was revealed, but how it was revealed. Watching a leader's credibility unravel in real time has a powerful effect on public trust. Viewers saw hesitation, silence, avoidance. The usual political defences failed to land. Every pause felt louder than words. Political analysts were quick to point out that resignation often becomes inevitable once authority collapses on live television. There is no reset button, no second take. The images and words are already locked into public memory. For Starmer, this moment may mark the point of no return. Inside Labour headquarters, staff are reportedly bracing for an announcement. Some sources claim draft resignation statements are already circulating. Others suggest intense pressure is being applied behind the scenes to step aside before further damage is done. The party, already fractured, now faces the risk of total breakdown if this crisis drags on. Public reaction has been immediate and fierce. Social platforms erupted within seconds of the leak. Supporters expressed shock and disappointment. Critics demanded accountability. Neutral voters questioned whether Starmer could ever recover credibility after such a public exposure. Confidence drained almost instantly. What makes this moment especially dangerous is the timing. With trust already fragile and leadership authority weakened by previous scandals and walkouts, this revelation hits like a final blow. The question dominating every conversation is no longer about survival, it's about exit. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is becoming clear. Keir Starmer is standing on the edge of resignation, and the next move, whether silence, denial, or confirmation, could arrive at any moment. As the initial shock faded, the focus shifted to one explosive question. What exactly was leaked on live television? According to insiders, the revelations exposed a hidden layer of decision-making that directly undermined Keir Starmer's credibility. Internal communications showed a leadership aware of serious problems but publicly denying them. This gap between truth and narrative is what pushed the situation from scandal into full-blown crisis. Sources familiar with the leaks say the documents revealed internal warnings sent to Starmer weeks ago. These warnings outlined risks, political consequences, and potential resignations if action was not taken immediately. Yet instead of responding, the leadership allegedly chose delay and silence. When the issue finally surfaced on live TV, it became impossible to deny what had been concealed. The most damaging revelation involved private assurances reportedly given to senior MPs that directly contradicted public statements. Several MPs now claim they defended Starmer in good faith, only to discover they were misled. This sense of betrayal spread quickly through the party, turning quiet doubt into open anger. Once trust broke at that level, resignation talk accelerated rapidly. Inside Parliament, the reaction was swift and unforgiving. MPs who had stayed neutral suddenly picked sides. Emergency meetings were called, but they failed to calm the situation. Instead, tensions exploded. Voices were raised. Accusations were exchanged. Some MPs reportedly walked out of meetings altogether, saying the leadership had lost all authority. As details of the leak spread, pressure intensified from every direction. Party donors began expressing concern. Local party officials demanded explanations. Senior figures warned privately that the party could not survive another week of uncertainty. The message was clear: the damage was spreading faster than it could be controlled. Media coverage shifted from speculation to expectation. Headlines no longer asked whether Starmer would resign, they asked when. Political commentators openly discussed timelines, potential successors, and emergency leadership scenarios. The tone had changed completely. Survival was no longer assumed. What made this moment especially dangerous was Starmer's response, or lack of one. Hours passed without a clear statement addressing the core revelations. Short remarks were issued, but they avoided the central accusations. This silence only deepened suspicion. In politics, hesitation during crisis is often interpreted as guilt or weakness. Behind the scenes, sources claim intense discussions are underway about how to manage the fallout. Some advisors are urging Starmer to step aside quickly to limit damage. Others argue that resignation would confirm failure and trigger further collapse. This internal divide has paralysed decision-making at the worst possible moment. Public trust continues to erode as more people realise the scale of what was hidden. Viewers who watch the leak unfold live feel deceived, not just by one leader, but by the entire system around him. Anger is replacing confusion, patience is wearing thin. The Labour Party now faces a brutal reality. With credibility shattered and leadership authority weakened beyond repair, every hour without clarity deepens the crisis. MPs are calculating their own futures, rivals are positioning themselves, and the pressure on Starmer is becoming unbearable. As night approaches, the atmosphere grows heavier, phones keep ringing, meetings continue behind closed doors, and one truth is becoming harder to deny: the revelations leaked on live TV may have sealed Keir Starmer's political fate. As the hours pass, the internal rebellion inside Labour is no longer hidden. It is open, loud and accelerating. MPs who once avoided confrontation are now speaking openly about leadership failure. Private messages are turning into public statements. What began as concern has transformed into a coordinated push to force Keir Starmer out before the situation spirals even further. Multiple sources now confirm that senior party figures are actively discussing a leadership challenge. These conversations are no longer theoretical. Names are being mentioned, numbers are being counted, allies are being tested. The party is moving fast, driven by fear that waiting any longer will permanently damage Labour's chances of ever regaining public trust. Inside closed meetings, emotions are reportedly boiling over. MPs are demanding answers Starmer cannot convincingly give. Some accuse him of losing control. Others say the leadership has become disconnected from reality. The words being used are harsh, untenable, irreversible, and broken. Once language like this enters internal discussions, survival becomes nearly impossible. One of the most damaging developments is the collapse of Starmer's remaining support base. Figures who once defended him on television are now refusing to appear at all. Silence has replaced loyalty. That silence is being interpreted as abandonment. In politics, when allies stop speaking, it often means they are preparing for what comes next. Party staff are also feeling the strain. Morale inside Labour offices is reportedly at rock bottom. Staff members describe confusion, fear and exhaustion. Some are unsure who is giving orders or whether anyone is still in charge. The chain of command has fractured, leaving the organisation drifting at the worst possible moment. Meanwhile, pressure from outside the party is intensifying. Voters are contacting MPs in large numbers, demanding explanations and accountability. Local party branches are passing motions calling for leadership change. The grassroots, once patient, now feel betrayed. This bottom-up pressure is making it harder for MPs to justify standing by Starmer. The media narrative has shifted again. Coverage now frames the situation as a countdown. Analysts speak openly about hours, not days. The focus is no longer on whether Starmer can recover, but on how his exit will unfold. Every delay is described as increasing the damage, not reducing it. Starmer's inner circle, what remains of it, is reportedly split. Some advisors believe resignation is the only way to stop the bleeding. Others fear stepping down will confirm every accusation made against him. This paralysis has left Starmer isolated, facing the most critical decision of his political life without a united team to guide him. Behind the scenes, contingency plans are accelerating. Emergency procedures are being reviewed, statements are being drafted and redrafted. Party officials are preparing for sudden announcements, knowing the situation could change at any moment. The atmosphere is tense, fragile and unpredictable. For the public, the picture is becoming painfully clear. A leader who once projected calm authority now appears overwhelmed by events. Confidence has drained away. Trust has collapsed. And without trust, leadership cannot survive, no matter how carefully worded the statements may be. As the pressure reaches its peak, one reality dominates Westminster. Keir Starmer is running out of time. Every minute without a decisive move strengthens the rebellion and weakens his position further. The party is already looking beyond him, even if the final announcement has not yet been made. This is the moment everything comes to a head. Inside Westminster, the atmosphere has shifted from uncertainty to expectation. Senior figures are no longer asking if Keir Starmer will resign, but preparing for the moment it becomes official. Conversations have turned cold and practical. The party is bracing for impact. Multiple sources now say Starmer has been given a clear message from within his own ranks: step aside or be forced out. The internal rebellion has reached a point of no return. MPs who once hesitated now believe that continued silence would only deepen the damage. For them, resignation is no longer seen as weakness, but as containment. Behind closed doors, the final discussions are tense and emotional. Starmer is reportedly weighing the consequences of every option left to him. Staying risks total collapse of authority, leaving risk defining his legacy by scandal. Either path is brutal, either path changes British politics overnight. Draft statements are circulating. Some versions frame resignation as taking responsibility. Others emphasise protecting the party and the country. The wording matters because history will judge every sentence. Advisors know this may be the last chance to regain even a fraction of control over the narrative. Inside the Labour Party, attention is already shifting forward. Potential successors are being quietly discussed. Factions are repositioning, alliances are forming at speed. The power vacuum created by this crisis is enormous, and everyone knows it will not stay empty for long. At the same time, the public response continues to intensify. Many voters say the live TV leak was the breaking point. Watching revelations unfold in real time shattered confidence in a way private scandals never could. The sense of being misled, of not being told the full truth, has left a deep mark. Political commentators now describe this as one of the fastest leadership collapses in recent history, not because of a single mistake, but because of accumulation. Delays, silence, ignored warnings, and finally exposure under the harshest light possible: live television. The wider consequences are already visible. Trust in institutions is shaken. Voters are more cynical. Rivals are emboldened, and the opposition, meant to offer stability and direction, has instead delivered chaos. The fallout will stretch far beyond one resignation. For Keir Starmer, this moment defines everything. Years of careful positioning, discipline, and ambition now hang on how this ends. Resignation may stop the bleeding, but it cannot erase what the public saw. The images, the reaction, the shock, all of it is permanent. As Britain waits, the silence grows louder. Every minute without confirmation fuels speculation. Every delay increases pressure. And when the announcement finally comes, whether today or within hours, it will mark the end of a political chapter few expected to close this way. This was not a quiet fall. It was not managed behind closed doors. It happened live. And when the history of this moment is written, it will be remembered not just as a resignation, but as a warning about power, truth, and what happens when leadership collapses in front of an entire nation. The UK is watching, the party is bracing, and Keir Starmer stands at the edge of his political future, seconds away from a decision that will echo for years.